Hi, welcome to this video. This is the 69th video on the course, and this video is to share with you something I learned from a guy called Dan Sullivan. It's called Mind the Gap. And Dan Sullivan's the guy that runs his business, is called The Strategic Coach. And Dan specializes in supporting entrepreneurs to become more effective. And this system is something that he noticed was happening with people, that there was kind of two types of people, entrepreneurs who were successful. Some were successful and happy, and some were successful and not very happy, and in worst case actually felt bad about their success, that it wasn't enough. And it came down to these three numbers: number 1, number 2, and number 3. And what Dan realized was that number 1 is your starting point. So if you started your business, say, 3 to 5 years ago, that would be a starting point. Number 2 is your current position, where you are now, today, in relation to the start. And number 3 is the ideal. This is like the nirvana. This is perfection, if you like. So what was happening was there's two types of people. The first type was successful and they were happy. And the reason for that was that they used to measure the distance from their starting point to their current position. You see, so they were measuring the progress, if you like, that we discussed in the previous video. So they were measuring that progress, and as they were focusing on that, the number 2 was moving. So that was getting better and better. So then again, the progress would there, and then they would measure there. So they spent a little bit of time looking back to their start and realized they were making progress and were happy with that. But then the other group of people were looking at their current position and measuring it against the ideal. But guess what happens? As they became more successful, their ideal moved as well. And it moved out as well. So what was happening was these guys were as successful as these, but they weren't feeling happy because their focus was on the gap, not from where they were to where they are, but where they are to their ideal. And the ideal is a bit like the horizon. As fast as you drive, you're probably not going to get there. So the ideal is needed to motivate you, and it's needed there to get your feet in the carpet to start your day. But you need to realize that this is probably not realistic. It's probably not achievable. So what I want you to think about is the action from this video is just to check in, and what has to happen for you to become a person who consistently measures, look at how far we've come, and rewards the team for how far we've come. Avoid being a yes but person, whereas we're doing well but, because this leads to unfulfillment. You're still making progress, you're still motivated, but you're spending a little bit of time every now and then looking at the progress. And Dan Sullivan refers to this as to mind the gap. Make sure you focus on the gap from where you are to where you have come from, rather than from where you are to this nirvana, which you're probably not going to get to. The action from this video is to focus on the progress you're making.